Namaskar, I am Dr. Manan Gandhi, MD in Ayurveda from Dr. Gandhi's Ayurveda Clinic. And today we're going to talk about sinusitis and common cold. Sinusitis and common cold is a disease that afflicts almost everyone at some particular point in their time. It's a very irritating disease. Why is it irritating? Is because it leads to a lot of congestion. What normally happens here is that sinuses get inflamed because of excessive mucus. And why is mucus produced? Mucus is produced as a response or a defense mechanism against the viruses that are infecting the respiratory system. So what mucus does is very similar to what the police does. It's nakabandi, which means that it forms these sort of checkposts that filter out anything that passes through them, leading to a lot of congestion. This checkpost is very important because it basically absorbs, captures any viruses that are trying to pass through the respiratory system. After it captures it, it digests and kills the viruses so as to defend our body. So mucus is actually a defense mechanism of the body and not the disease itself. The disease is due to the viruses. But what we normally tend to do is we tend to take antibiotics the minute we get a sinusitis or a common cold attack. Why? You will realize that most antibiotics you've taken actually don't even work for viruses. They are antibacterials, and we have a viral infection, which is a common cold. So then why are antibiotics given for viral infections? Very simple. Antibiotics are heat producing. They're so heaty in fact that you are supposed to take an antacid when you take an antibiotic. So mucus is essentially 93 to 95% water. So when you give something that is extremely heaty, it reduces the mucus. So it reduces your defense mechanism so that the congestion opens up. For example, if let's say a few terrorists have entered into Kashmir, and we're trying to stop and find out where they're hiding, the Indian Army would put barricades and try to figure out and filter so that they can find out who the culprit and terrorist is and try to eradicate it. But because it's causing a lot of traffic jams, we basically take missiles and kill our own army. That is exactly what you're doing when you're taking antibiotics. The viruses are not affected at all. You are killing your own defense system because it's causing you inconvenience and congestion. Rather than killing the viruses and identifying them, you're actually damaging your own system. What happens is that although you feel better, the congestion is relieved, you will get the problem again because the viruses, like it or not, are still there in the body and they're multiplying. And this is why you get a common cold very, very easily. One season change, you have a cold again. A few dietary on and offs, you have a cold again. You have people, you have kids who just develop a cold on and on and on and on again because their parents or they themselves have never really allowed the body to deal with the viruses. They've constantly suppressed it by constant use of antibiotics. But in Ayurveda, if you have a common cold, there are medicines that will actually help the mucus identify the viruses, quickly eradicate it, and the mucus to come out of the body rather than dry up and hide inside. And that is where Ayurveda comes in. There are a few home remedies that can really help you, but they're not very relief based, they're more cure based. And that I feel is the primary advantage Ayurveda has over allopathy. Is we're trying to not relieve the patient of their symptoms, which in this case is damaging their own immune system, but we're trying to cure the problem by actually eliminating the viruses by helping the immune system. So what are these home remedies? You can take dry ginger powder, which is sont powder, and you can consume half a teaspoon twice a day, about 20 minutes before food, and that will really help you solving this problem. Another home remedy is that you can just apply dry ginger powder paste by mixing it in water on these 7 spots, right? So the first 2 is if you look at the center of the eyeball and you go down to the ridge of the nose, this is the maxillary sinus. So to apply it here. The next 2 are the frontal sinuses, which is below the eyebrow, medially towards the nose, like this. The next 2 is behind the ears, behind the earlobe, and the 7th is on the forehead. So you can actually apply this and go off to sleep at night, and when you wake up in the morning, you'll find a lot of mucus comes out, either nasally or orally, or sometimes anally, where all the mucus starts escaping the body and coming out. This mucus is infected, so do not swallow it back in when it comes to the throat, or if it comes in the nose, do not sniff it back in. We will try to remove this as much as possible. There are a few really good medicines that can actually solve this problem. However, it's also important to note that if you're suffering from a cold, you definitely have to follow some basic dietary restrictions. You can't have things like bananas, guavas, grapes, sugarcane, sitafal, lychee, coconut water, coconut malai, or anything that is very cold in potency. Also, do not have a bath at night. Do not dry your hair under the fan, and be a little cautious of the amount of temperature changes you subject your body to. Don't immediately step out into the heat from an AC. Don't sleep the entire night in very strong air conditioning. Try and maintain temperature balance, try and maintain body balance, and you should be fine. If you have any other issues, you need our help, you need any Vaid's help, feel free to contact us and reach out to us. The details will be mentioned here. This is Dr. Manan Gandhi. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and definitely share it with those people, especially the mothers and fathers of young children who keep giving the young children antibiotic for even a small cold. Try to forward this to them so we can really help them out. This is Dr. Manan Gandhi signing off. Thank you.